You ever walk into a place and just know you weren't meant to belong? That's exactly how I felt the first day I stepped into the Whitmore estate. Marble floors colder than ice chandeliers that looked like they cost more than my mama's entire house, and her new wife, Veronica Whitmore, standing at the top of the grand staircase like a queen surveying her subjects. Except she didn't look at me like a subject. She looked at me like something she stepped in. "Clean that spill," she snapped, pointing at a drop of water on the floor that had just fallen from my bucket. "I don't want to see a single drop on my floors again." I said, "Yes, ma'am," kept my eyes low and wiped it fast as I could. But in that moment, I knew I wasn't just hired help. I was the next name on a long list of maids that never lasted. They said no one survived Veronica, but I wasn't nobody. I was Layla James, and I didn't come for her approval. I came for my daughter. See, my little girl Zaria needed heart surgery. Real bad. And I didn't have time for pride. I needed that paycheck and I needed it steady. So I told myself, bite your tongue, girl, just do the work. Easier said than done. Every day she picked at me. My folding wasn't crisp enough. My dusting missed an imaginary speck. The silver didn't gleam like her necklace. But that wasn't the worst part. One morning, Veronica stormed into the dining room wild-eyed. "Where is it?" she shouted. I blinked. "Where's what, ma'am?" "My diamond necklace, the one I wore last night. It's gone." Then her eyes locked on me like a hawk. "You. Where is it?" I froze. I didn't take anything, I swear. "Oh, really?" she hissed. "Isn't that convenient?" "A new maid. A black maid. Jewelry missing." Sounds like a story I've heard before. I felt the whole room shift. The other staff backed away like they didn't even want to breathe the same air as me. Veronica's husband, Mr. Whitmore, walked in right then. Tall, stern. He grabbed my arm, shook me a little too hard. "Is this true?" I looked him straight in the eye. "No, sir." But my voice cracked. I stumbled back, tripped over the rug, and crashed into the conservatory door. Glass cold against my head, the world spinning. Then in that painful silence, she saw it. The necklace, lying under a stack of magazines on the side table, half hidden like a guilty secret. Her eyes flicked to it, then back to me. But she said nothing. Nothing at all. That night, the Whitmores threw a party. Big names, big egos, big dresses. I was still wiping tears in the kitchen when I heard a thud, Veronica gasping for air in the middle of the ballroom, clutching her chest, staggering like a paper doll in the wind. Nobody moved. I didn't even think. I ran to her side, eased her down, checked her airway, started compressions, just like I learned back when I worked nights at a nursing home. "Somebody call 911, I shouted. Minutes felt like hours. When they took her away, she was breathing, barely, but breathing. I stayed behind numb, worn out, bruised in ways nobody could see. Next morning, I expected to be fired, maybe even arrested. Instead, she came into the kitchen slower this time, her robe wrapped tight. "You saved me," she said quietly. I didn't know what to say, so I just said I did what anyone would have done. But she shook her head. "No, not everyone would have. Maybe you're not like the others." And for a second, just a second, I saw a crack in that ice. I thought maybe things would change. But ice don't melt overnight. The very next week, another crisis. Her personal maid's uniform went missing. Guess who got blamed? Yup. "Maya," she said, folding her arms. "Don't test me. First my necklace, now this. You trying to play some long game?" I stood my ground. I didn't take it. I haven't even touched laundry duty this week. Her lips curled. Words are cheap. Actions matter. Before I could reply, Samuel, the old gardener, stepped in from the hall. Maybe he said gently, "We ought to check the facts before we throw accusations." She didn't like it, but she nodded. Later that day, the maid's uniform turned up, shoved behind the pantry door, stuffed like trash. No apology, just "I'll be watching you." But I wasn't there for apologies. I was there for Zaria. 1 week later, Veronica showed up at my room with a sealed envelope. She looked smaller. "I called a friend," she said. "Children's charity. They might help with your daughter." My throat went dry. For Zaria, I whispered. She nodded. "You saved me. Least I can do is try to return the favor." After that, things shifted. She asked about my daughter sometimes, asked my opinion about flowers, even invited me to a charity luncheon as her guest. Not help, guest. I almost fainted when she handed me the invitation. At the event, folks stared at me like I didn't belong. One woman even said, "You're not what I expected in Veronica's circle." I smiled. Neither was she. But just as things felt like they might finally settle, it happened again. Another party, another room full of power and pretense, and right in the middle of a toast, Veronica collapsed again. This time, no one doubted who to call. I was there in seconds, held her hand, spoke her name, kept her breathing till the medics came. Afterward, as the guests whispered and gawked, she looked at me with tears in her eyes. "You didn't have to do that. Again." I squeezed her hand. "We don't always get to pick who we save." From that day on, she treated me like not just a maid, not even a friend, something more complicated. An equal. Not everyone in the mansion liked it. Some whispered behind my back. Some waited for me to fall, but I didn't. And when Zaria's surgery came and I sat by her side watching her tiny chest rise and fall, Veronica showed up with flowers. Real ones. The kind that smell like spring and hope. I told them to put me down as her emergency contact, she said. Just in case. I cried harder than I ever had. Now don't get me wrong. Veronica ain't perfect. She's still sharp-tongued. Still likes things a certain way. But these days when she says, "Layla, come sit with me," I go. Not because I have to, but because somehow we both survived each other. Maybe that's the real miracle. The Whitmore mansion used to chew girls like me up and spit us out. But I didn't just survive. I changed the whole damn house. So tell me, does someone's past give you the right to judge their future? Have you ever been underestimated only to rise higher than they ever expected? Drop a comment. I want to hear your story. Let's talk about second chances and the people who never saw us coming.